Welcome back to Valorant at Midnight. Today we're going to be talking about the new map Ascent, more specifically attacking and defending it. I'm personally quite a fan of Ascent and I do quite like it, especially with the unique closing doors. However, for beginners it can be quite difficult. Valorant is very fast paced and with a lot of rotations and abilities, sometimes strategy goes out the window and you don't know what to do. Let's talk about how to successfully attack and defend Ascent to give your team the best chance of winning. Okay guys, we are starting off with attack on Ascent. Now the common strategy that we're going to employ, which is the safest one in my opinion, is going to be called hunting or fanning out. This is where you have each of your members span out across B lobby, mid link, mid top and A lobby. Now you may notice those are only 4 locations if you've got 5 team members. The 5th team member I'd probably recommend stacking on either A lobby or B lobby and pushing slowly into those respective sites. Now let's see how that actually looks like. As you push into B, you definitely want to be wary of common hold angles such as that one there. You definitely will need to use utility to get a hold of B main, as this is crucial to attacking B. From here you can take a hold of the ultimate and slowly push your way into actual B. From here you want to be wary of more common angles such as mid market and defender side spawn. These are very commonly held and they're usually held by agents that are there just to delay you, such as Sage or Brimstone. Be careful of the alleyways as well. But on the flip side, let's say that the defending team is very aggressive when they're holding B. You can and you should post up a little further away by B lobby and it allows you to hold angles such as this, which prevents essentially rotations into B lobby and into mid itself. I wouldn't really recommend posting up any closer to the front side of B main, as this can be a little bit difficult to hold and you're very vulnerable to catwalk and just getting shot in the back. Let's discuss mid. For those of you who have been playing games like this, it might be easier for you to understand, but for beginners it can be a little bit more difficult. Mid allows you avenues into defender side spawn, mid cubby, back of catwalk, and also B lobby. These avenues are essential for rotations across the whole of the map and you don't want to lose them. Moving on to B link, you're mostly going to be defending against the person in mid cubby. This can be quite difficult and you probably will need to use utility, but bear in mind that the defender usually has an advantage as their spawn shield is a little bit closer to mid than yours is. Moving swiftly to mid top, this is quite integral to the control of the map. With mid top you definitely want to be watching mid bottom and occasionally mid catwalk as well, though your own B link agent should be defending that. With the control of mid top you can look pretty much all the way down mid into defender side mid market, and this is essential to preventing rotations when you have control of A. Moving on to attacking A from A lobby, you want to be careful of this common hold point by A gate and also of A wine. The key thing to note here is that you don't want to lose control of A main or at the very least A lobby, same scenario such as B main or B lobby. If you find that the defending team is playing quite aggressively, you can take a step back and play from A lobby. You can find them usually pushing up to get the ultimate orb, so you can take as many of these angles as you want to just swing out and have a surprise factor. Again, do not lose control of A lobby, as if you were defending you can easily walk up through A lobby straight to mid top and take out the attacking side team there, thereby granting you control of mid. If we move on to attacking A, you can find that A, in my opinion, is extremely entrenched. There are a lot of angles and a lot of places that you could get shot from. Here are just a few that are commonly held. Once you do have control of a site, be sure to close the gates on Ascent, as this does limit the avenues of attack that the defending team has left. They can either try and attack from behind you or from their spawn, or if they're very noisy, from the gate you just closed. If your team has managed to successfully take A and you were posted mid-top, you should definitely continue to keep a hold of mid, especially catwalk, and don't be afraid to peek all the way down to mid-market to try and prevent rotations from the defending team. This will give your team as much time as they can possibly get to plant spike and defend it. If you want to push, you can push all the way up into mid-cubby and be wary of these common hold angles. Once you get to the tree room, I wouldn't really recommend pushing any further than that unless your team is doing exceptionally well. I'd recommend taking a passive sort of angle in mid-cubby if you're sure that you're not going to get flanked. Now let's repeat this for if you're holding mid-link and your team successfully attacked B. Again, you don't want to lose control of mid, and you definitely want to keep more of an eye on mid-cubby and catwalk to prevent rotations from A. If you are doing exceptionally well and you do feel inclined, you can push all the way down to mid-courtyard, all the way to mid-market. Be careful of defender side spawn as they can be holding angles there. Once you have control of B, mid-market, B lobby or B main, it is very difficult for the defending side team to retake the site. The opposite of fanning out or hunting is to rush. This is pretty self-explanatory and I don't really want to spend too much time on this. Just remember when you're rushing that you should rush. Do not hesitate. If you're taking corners, don't be afraid to use utility to gain an advantage as you push angles, and always trade your deaths. Be wary that if you use all of your utility just to take a point, it might be difficult to defend it. Remember, as attackers, you set the tempo of the match and you must split your focus between all the sites. If you have attacked B successfully for the past 5 rounds, swap up your strategy. And if you win pistol round, I recommend that you pretty much rush your second round as well, as the counter-terrorists have to eco. Now to finish off attacking on Ascent, let's go through some common scenarios you may find yourself facing. Let's say you've attempted to rush a site but you haven't actually managed to get onto it, but you've traded kills so you're now facing a 3v3. Now is a very good time to rotate across the map, as those defending agents are more likely to have rotated to the site you just attacked, leaving potentially maybe 1 or at maximum 2 on the other site to defend. Similarly to this, let's say you've rushed but you haven't managed to get on site, but no kills have been traded and it's still a 5v5. Be very careful in this scenario as you now have to play for picks. And this can be quite scary as you've just lost control of half of the map and you don't know where any of the defending agents could be. Let's say you've rushed a site but you've traded downing kills and are now facing a 3v4 or a 3v5. This is quite difficult to come back from. Chances are that the defending team are quite literally swarming the map. In this scenario, you have to be very careful with where you show yourself. You have to keep the enemy guessing where you are and attempt to win 1v1s. Again, quite difficult. The key thing to winning on attack is to communicate with your team. This is very important when you utility cycle. If you have a breach and a phoenix on your team, neither of them should be flashing at the same time. You should be utility cycling, especially on common angles. Also communicate with your team what angles you're attempting to smoke off or potentially slow down so your team can check out other angles. As the defending team or the counter-terrorist, you want to employ a similar method to fanning out or hunting. This means you separate your teammates across A tree, mid and B site. Stack whichever site you're more concerned about defending. When defending A, you can post up quite close to A gate and even peek as the attacking team rounds the corner. This can give you quite a bit of a warning and allows you to safely get away and try and slow down the defending team, whether that's with sage walls, before you take another angle on site and let your team know. Similarly, if you are defending mid cubby, then be wary of B link. This is quite a tight angle and can be difficult to hold, and if you do lose it, you will end up losing control of mid. I wouldn't push far up into mid cubby or even onto catwalk, as that leaves you quite vulnerable to attacks from several different angles. If you're posted mid, you have several options, but be wary that you have to keep control of mid top and mid B link. You can do this by either jumping on top of the gate and having a bit of a surprise factor for the attacking team. And you can do this with Sage or Raze, Omen, Jet. You can even play quite close to mid-bottom, though I'm personally not a fan of this, as you can be swung on by anybody in the opposing angle. Usually the defenders also have an agent watching mid-markets, as this easily allows rotations from mid to defending B. If you have lost control of mid, you can back up all the way to defender side spawn and hold a passive angle into mid-markets to prevent rotations. If you're holding mid-market and you find yourself quite walled off, smoked or blocked, you can again fall back a little bit and take a tighter angle on the alleyway directly leading to B. When defending B, I've seen many defending teams play up close to B main and look for early game picks. If you don't find any resistance, you can push all the way to B lobby, but I'd be careful of pushing any further. More common hold angles on B are mid-market, defender side spawn, and this little nook on top of defender side spawn, which I've seen razors get to quite easily. When defending, I find that there is a fine line between rotating on first contact and rotating when you actually need to. Don't rotate too early. It could give away advantageous positions you hold and allow for any lurkers or any flankers for the other team to attack you. The most important thing when defending is to not die. If you are being rushed, you have to instantly communicate this to your team and try and delay as long as possible. Don't take any 1v1s that you don't need to, and wait for your team. I understand that is much easier said than done, but in all honesty, if you can try and fight a 5v5 as defending team, you're pretty well up. Let's go through a few common scenarios that you may find yourself on when you're defending. If your team has lost the site, but you're even on agents, let's say it's a 3v3, remember you have 45 seconds once the spike is planted to retake the site. This probably means that the T sides are holding advantageous angles to them, but do bear in mind that they've probably used most of the utility to just get on site. At this point, I don't recommend splitting if you can. I encourage all three to attack from a similar direction, as it's too risky to separate and lose 1v1s when you're down to the wire. It does make your team more obvious, but it does allow you to trade kills and come out ahead. Let's say in a different scenario, you're defending and your team has lost the site, and you're also now facing a 2v4 or a 2v5. At this point, it's not worth it to attempt to retake the site. All you're going to do is end up dying and losing your weapon. Your best course of action is to kill the attacking side team as they make their way off site as the spike explodes. But don't let me stop you for going for those flashy plays for your montages. Another common scenario that I see from the defending side team is if the attacking side has fanned out or they're hunting and the defending side gets very twitchy. In this case, do not push. You give the attacking side essentially what they're looking for, which is an opening. In this scenario, it's better to ability cycle through your smokes, slows, disruption, or your cipher cameras to try and give yourself the most amount of time that you can. Remember, if you don't see the T side attacking, that just means they have less time to get on site and successfully defend. Hopefully this video has helped you think about Ascent in a more strategic manner. If you did particularly like any of the scenarios or strategies I mentioned, please do let me know in the comments. And alternatively, if you do like the content, do like and subscribe. Please feel free to share this video with any of your friends who are also trying to get better at Valorant. I'm planning on covering the rest of the maps over the next week or so please don't miss out. If there is a particular map you are looking forward to, do let me know. But until then, thank you for watching. Midnight out.